Today, I want to share with you an incredible true story that took place during the 2014 conflict in Gaza, known as Operation Protective Edge. It's a story that reveals the mysterious ways in which protection can come, even in the darkest of times. And as you listen, remember that these moments of divine intervention are not confined to the past. They are happening even now as we speak. A close friend of mine who leads a large educational institution in Israel told me about this incredible experience. He shared the story of a commander in the Israeli Defense Forces who was tasked with leading a highly specialized unit into one of the most dangerous areas of Gaza. This wasn't just any mission. This was a mission where failure could mean the loss of many lives. The commander was a man of great experience, leading a team of some of the best trained soldiers in the world. But even the most skilled warriors can find themselves facing challenges beyond their control. As they entered this particular area of Gaza, the city had already been mostly evacuated. The only ones left behind were the most dangerous individuals, those who had stayed to fight until the very end. Imagine a city that has gone completely silent. Not a single sound, not a single movement. The streets, once bustling with life, are now empty. Even the animals, which are often the first to sense danger, had long since fled. The soldiers knew that this quietness was deceptive. It was the calm before a storm, and every shadow could hide a deadly threat. The commander, who had not slept for nearly 36 hours, was feeling the weight of his responsibility. He knew that one wrong move could spell disaster for his entire team. They were on a mission to locate and dismantle a large cache of explosives that intelligence reports indicated was hidden somewhere in this deserted block. These explosives had already caused significant harm, and if left unchecked, could cause even more devastation. And then something strange happened. As the commander and his team carefully advanced, a white dove appeared, flying down from the rooftop of a building. Now, this might not seem remarkable at first. After all, a bird flying in the sky isn't exactly unusual. But in that ghostly, silent city, where not even an animal had been seen for days, the appearance of this dove was extraordinary. The dove flew directly toward the commander, and then did something even more unusual. It stopped in midair, right in front of him, hovering just inches from his face. The commander, exhausted and barely able to keep his eyes open, blinked several times, unsure if he was seeing things. Was this a hallucination brought on by fatigue, or was it something else? He slowly raised his rifle, intending to nudge the bird aside so they could continue their mission. But just as he was about to make contact, the soldier behind him, who had his hand on the commander's shoulder, suddenly pulled him back. The soldier's instincts screamed that something wasn't right. The commander froze, and as he took a second look, everything became clear. What the commander saw next made his blood run cold. That dove wasn't just hovering in midair, it had landed on a thin tripwire, a wire so fine that it was nearly invisible in the dim light. This wire was stretched across the entire street, and had the commander taken one more step, he would have triggered a massive explosion. Intelligence later confirmed that the explosives attached to this wire were powerful enough to level the entire block, killing every soldier in his unit. The dove flew off, its mission seemingly complete. The soldiers stood there, stunned, realizing just how close they had come to disaster. What had appeared to be a simple bird was in that moment a guardian, a messenger that had saved their lives. The commander, a man of logic and reason, couldn't deny that something beyond explanation had just occurred. Some might call it a coincidence, but for those soldiers, it was clear that they had been saved by something or someone watching over them. It was a moment that defied logic, a moment that reminded them and reminds us that we are not always in control and that sometimes protection comes in ways we can't predict. This story isn't just a tale from the past. Right now, as we speak, similar moments of divine protection are happening in the current conflict in Gaza. God is watching over the soldiers, guiding them through unimaginable dangers. And while we do suffer losses, painful, heartbreaking losses, it's important to remember that things could be much worse if not for these moments of divine intervention. We may not always see the dangers that lie ahead, the tripwires in our own lives, but just as that dove appeared to the commander in Gaza, so too do we receive signs, reminders that we are not alone in our struggles. This is a time to come together to strengthen our resolve and to continue our prayers for the safety of all those on the front lines and for the safe return of those who have been taken captive. May we all find the strength to continue these prayers, and may we see a time when peace and safety return to the land. Let us pray for a future where the need for such protection is no longer necessary and where all those who are in danger can return home safely. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please consider subscribing, sharing it with others, and leaving a comment below. Your support helps keep these stories of hope, protection, and resilience alive.